Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of the AGT Podcast, the podcast with a host who has absolutely no idea what he's talking about, but will fight until the end, insisting they are correct. That would be me, your host Anthony, and this week I'm joined by two guests, the absolute bane of my daily life, otherwise known as Frankie.
Hello.
And also the man with the softest voice, otherwise known as Ben.
Hello, everybody.
So usually I start these podcasts with the guests saying, hey guys, what have you been playing this week? But not this week, because I want to tell you what I've been playing this week. I've finally been able to play Republic Commando on a new system, and it is the most satisfying thing ever.
Oh,
I've been going on about it.
I knew you were going to try and shoehorn it in there somewhere.
I'm not even shoehorning it in, I'm just starting it from the get-go. Because
Andy's going to kill me because I've never played it.
well, Ben had never played it, and that's what I'm kind of getting into, because I made Ben play it.
What a good podcast to bring it up in with two people that have never played.
Yeah, but it's just come out this week, so it's relevant, okay? We want clicks, that's what I want.
God, fine.
With the 4 fans Republic Commando has left. It's the remaster or the remake or whatever Aspire Media are calling it. I've been redoing it, and it's like I want to cover it actually in a more in-depth video as well for the channel down the line. It's pretty good. I'm enjoying it so far. I definitely think it probably doesn't hold up as well, but it's only £11, which is amazing. So Frankie, you need to get it on PS4, and then we can call and talk about it. I want to hear because Ben, obviously I had you play the original for a good bit, and I want to know what your thoughts were on it.
It's a surprisingly pretty game for saying it's 15 years old. It's got a slight cell shade to it, I believe it's called. But how do I put it? I don't enjoy the difficulty spike of it. Like, it starts off nice and easy. You can run in, stab everything. Literally nothing does damage to you. And then you get maybe 10, 15 minutes into it and you're getting constantly killed. It's fun, though. It is fun.
Yeah, it's I played, like I said, I've been playing the remaking because I know the game pretty much inside and out. I know they're not cheap tricks, but you know the ways to just quickly dispatch things.
Yeah.
And even I still get, every now and again I'll run into a corridor and forget there's a super battle droid, and it'll just melt me. The difficulty makes no sense because you'll be on the first planet, and it will it will be really difficult for one section, and then the next section you just literally storm through, and then it's just constantly like that.
I think the worst part was the droid manufacturing plant where they just throw battle droid after you.
Yeah.
And if you disturb any one of the racks, it's just like, here's 15 of them.
You have to run straight through that.
And you just...
There's never any fighting.
Yeah, it's...
So Frankie, do you know anything about Republic Commando, or are you just sat there like literally on your phone watching YouTube?
I mean, I've heard of it. I've never played it. To be honest, the only Star Wars games I played I played Battlefront and Fallen Order.
Okay, Fallen Order was good.
And
Battlefront was good, obviously.
Yeah, they were both good, but Fallen Order, right? I thought it was such a good game, but I got to the end and I was like, I've already completed it. There's so much more they could have done.
Yeah, there's no point playing it again.
Yeah. I mean, I sometimes pick it up and I just like chuck the disc in and I'm like, oh, you know what?
I don't even know how you do that.
Give it another go. And I just play it for like 10 minutes and I'm like, what was the point? There's literally nothing else to do.
I remember when it came out and I was so excited and I was like, okay, this is actually a good Star Wars game that's like new. And there was nothing. I completed it and I was like, the cosmetics didn't change anything. There was no reason for me to ever put that disc back in the game, in the PlayStation. I was just like, right, that's me done. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty cool, but I will never visit this again. And then it got the really good update after about a year and a half or something. I was like, I'm not reinstalling just for some sort of horde mode. It's not even, if it had co-op, I'd be like, yes. But it didn't. So I was like,
yeah, it doesn't have like an online or anything. There's genuinely so much that they could have done with it and they just didn't. And it ended, like I said, it ended so quickly. I don't know. You can build your own lightsaber though. That is pretty sweet. But
really?
Other than that, yeah.
That was pretty cool. So, okay, so you can like, it's really cool. You can choose hilts and stuff.
It was good. I was cutting around with like a double-ended lightsaber. It was sick.
It is cool. The splitting it in half is really cool as well. Like the way he can do that. Some of it is neat. Like the movement and stuff just made me excited for a Fallen Order 2.
You know what I thought was really good about it? I mean, are we saying spoilers or do I have to avoid it, or are we saying you've had enough time to play it and it's your lookout?
We could probably, if you can be vague, we could say this is spoilers, but you still be vague as possible.
The Order 66 bit
was really good.
It was insane, wasn't it?
There should just be a game set then.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Really good. That whole running through the ship and everything was incredible. That should have been the game.
It was mad.
It should have been a Jedi as a Padawan going and experiencing that bit. That would have been good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
They
I
could
think
have
you
extended missions, and you play all of them for like no time at all, and then you complete the game in like an hour and a half, and it's just a waste of money. But it's good.
So, have you not played like? Do you play Souls-like games usually, Frankie and Ben?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Bloodborne is one of my favourite games of all time.
So I'm just surprised you haven't picked up Fallen Order then. It's not as difficult, but it's like Souls-like.
Is that the newer one?
Yeah, yeah.
I'd heard of it, but I have seen it on sale. I hadn't seen enough of it to even bother with it. I mean, I don't really play Star Wars games.
Oh yeah, no, that's fair.
No, because I hadn't even heard of Republic Commando. I'd played the old Battlefront on the PSP. I played the Battlefront 2 that was put on, well, the modern one. And
yeah.
that was pretty crap at the start. But
it's good now.
It's good now. It's good. It works, but I don't think it's worth playing, to be honest.
No.
And what was it called? Force Unleashed? I only ever played the demo of that, but I absolutely adored it.
That was really good.
Yeah, that's a great game.
It was the only game that really
fun.
showed off force powers.
Yeah, to the point where Bendak or whatever, Galen or whatever, it could not be used in any form of like canonicity.
Yeah.
He's so overpowered, it's ridiculous.
Way too, but just pulls down a Star Destroyer and it's...
To be fair, that Star Destroyer was falling already. I think people misremember that. But not just you. I see always people comment on, because I'm that guy that goes on YouTube and they're like, oh, what about Starkiller? He could pull this out the sky. And people are like, oh no, it's technically crashing already. He just helped.
He still pulled something that's like 1,000,000 tons of steel.
And he just like breaks the laws of Star Wars at times with some of the stuff he can do. But I only ask because Fallen Order is like a Souls-like game, but it's not as difficult. But it has I might be so wrong, but I'm sure it's Respawn that do it. You know, the people who did Titanfall.
Yeah.
And that's why the movement has wall running and stuff.
Oh, okay.
It is fun.
Might be worth looking into.
It definitely is. And on the the hardest difficulty, you definitely get some frustration out of it. There's some really annoying boss fights in it. They're just not enough.
Not enough.
Yeah. Oh, I need to ask Frankie because he played it. Frankie, I don't know if you remember, but the game isn't scary at all. Yet there was one section that really got me, and I knew it was coming, and it was when the spider got me.
Oh, I hated that. It was ridiculous.
There's like a giant moment.
It's sort of like... It's almost like when it jumps down on you, do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like that bit. It's almost like you sort of expect it, but you still sort of jump.
Yeah, because you see the it's like a side area, but like the bodies are lining the wall and there's web everywhere, and you're like, well, okay, there's a spider coming on.
Yeah, I feel like...
And then it's literally not something you can see. You have to walk into a zone, and it just gets you. Like, there's not really much you can do about it.
Yeah, you definitely expect it, though. I feel like you don't walk into a place in any game where there's, like, bodies everywhere and there's no way it can end good.
Then it's your own fault, and
It
you expect to be fine.
It's sort of your own lookout, really.
Yeah, exactly. So, obviously, similar to Republic Commando, but one that Frankie can actually talk about because he's played it. I think we've all played it. I know you've been playing Bioshock this week, Frankie.
Oh, yes, I have. Oh, I love it. I love it so much.
So, you've been playing the first one.
So... Yeah, I completed the first one yesterday, actually. I recompleted it and I've moved on to Bioshock 2 and I've only just started that one again, but no, 1 is my favourite one. It's absolutely incredible and the remaster version's even better.
Would you like?
It's amazing.
Did you tell Ben after your whole talking about how you were finally getting the good ending that you still ended up getting the bad ending?
Oh my god, you got the bad ending? It was ridiculous. Yeah, no, right, you got to listen to this. So first time I played it, I was obviously I can't remember how old I was. I was only a kid, and I was just like a bit remorseless, and I was getting the little sisters, and I was just like, do I save them or harvest them? I was like, oh, no, harvest them. It's their own fault, really. Yeah. And then I just sort of like did that, got the bad ending, and then I was struggling for Adam a couple of times throughout the story, and I was like, you know what? I'll only harvest like 2, and I saved the rest. And then the woman at the end was still shouting at me, telling me how bad I'd done, and they were stabbing people, and I was like, what's going on? Yeah, and I didn't even do anything that bad.
Did you tell Anthony how long it took you to kill Fontaine?
No.
Well, the fact he said he only finished it yesterday tells me a lot.
No, because he'll bully me if he knows.
I can't believe... I've never known anyone struggle with that boss fight. It's such a needless boss fight as well. I think it's my least favourite part of the game. I just think it's so like... old arcadey, here's a big bad boss, as opposed to how the rest of the game is.
It's still pretty cool though. I don't think it's bad. I just think it's like it's sort of not.
It reminds me a bit of Time Splitters. What a game!
I've never heard of that.
I only played the demo of that on disc ages ago.
You've never heard of Time Splitters?
No. If I like Bioshock, will I like it? Because I did like the last boss fight.
It's a bit outdated. It's quite outdated.
It's outdated, but if you can get a hold of that somehow, it's very quirky. It's very funny. It's good. Time Splitters Future Perfect is really
You know
good.
what? I'll give that a go.
Yeah, please do.
I
Then
will.
we can talk about that as well.
But you know,
That is that's a crazy game that has a bit of a doesn't have a twist, but it has a cool little mechanic of time travel. And like this game's been out for, I don't know, 17, 18 years. I can definitely spoil this.
But you can't get it on Steam or
you.
CD keys.
No, I think you'd have to emulate it, but emulators work with it. I know that for sure. Or you can just make your way all the way around to mine after lockdown. I can give you my original Xbox, Frankie. You can play it.
Fair enough. I like a game with a twist as well. That's what I love so much about Bioshock, because it's just full of them.
It's not a crazy twist, but it's more of
It was a nice reveal. It was really cool.
Yeah, the time splitters aspect of it is really interesting. So there's like time loops or whatever that you end up going through, and you end up having to help your past self in certain situations.
Okay.
But you're living these moments as well. It's very Rick and Morty in the sense that you'll be playing and future self will help you through a section of a mission. But then later on in that mission, you then have to help past you from doing the same thing, but from a different perspective.
That's pretty cool.
That sounds pretty cool.
It is. It's an interesting point because you interact with yourself and you see where you'll be later on and what gun you'll be using. And there's like ghost fighting bits and stuff where future you can see them and you can't. And it's like, how come future me can see it, but I can't yet? It puts stuff together really interestingly.
That sounds pretty cool.
It is quite fun.
There's not many games that do time travel well.
No, it doesn't do it because this doesn't try and follow like, I guess, classic rules. It just makes up its own stuff because it's sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it just works. Like there's just a Cortana type person who just kind of says, well, this just happens because this is how it works. And you just go, yeah, okay. And it just takes you all over the place. It takes you to like a haunted mansion with zombies and stuff.
Oh my god.
That sounds
But the
cool.
characters are like, what? They kind of like, what does that eat? How can there be zombies? It's a really it's like a satirical style game. It's quite good.
Yeah.
And it's definitely cult classic because they were talking about doing a remake or a fourth one for the longest time, and the studio just never gets around to doing it or gets funded to do it. Yeah, definitely. Frankie, you need to play that. And you, Ben. You both need to play that. I forgot you both like
We'll both get it.
I'll have to get an emulator. Because it's only on consoles and old consoles.
Yeah, and you've got to play it rather than watch a Let's Play. Then we can talk about it.
Do you know what I found? You know what I found crazy going back to Bioshock a second? I forgot how scary it
The beginning is terrifying.
especially when it's remastered. Because I was sort of just, obviously you go down into Rapture and you see like, I think you see the big sister, don't you? And you're a bit like, oh, this is a bit weird. And you get to your first like proper main objective, and it's like, I think it's like Dr. Stein or something.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what's happening here?
I do feel like they waste it quite a bit, actually. Like it's good, and not as in they waste it and it's all terrible. I think they do an amazing job, but I just think, like we said with Fallen Order, looking back at how games do things now, there was so much they could have done. Like, and they start off so strong. Like you see Rapture and you think, oh, it's beautiful, and then you think, well, that's terrifying because if one tube gets a hole in it, you think, oh my god, or you go to that doctor, the plastic surgeon, and you start listening to his voice logs of how he goes slowly crazier and crazier because he has no moral compass. And then I think that slowly drifts off towards the end.
It does. The only other scary part after that point is... What's
he called,
The guy
Frankie?
who does the museum pieces.
Yeah, what's he called, Frankie? You've just played it.
Oh,
You literally said it yesterday.
Yes, I know. Sander Cohen.
Yeah,
Sander Cohen. He's one of the
yeah.
best characters. He really does save the ending of Bioshock. I think without him in that section where you're going through and seeing all the freeze frame people, you'd be a bit like, it's the same stuff again and again and again.
I do see what you mean though. Sort of like it started to really take off at the Dr. Steinman bit, and you're like, oh, this is sort of setting the tone. Then it dips off, then you get to Sander Cohen, and it hits a peak again.
It struggles to balance horror and first person shooter at point where you all of a sudden you just feel overpowered for a good chunk of the game.
You've got too many weapons, too many options to kill, and then nothing becomes a threat.
The only good thing is having the harpoon to finally take down big daddies with pretty easily. Like that's the one thing I'm so grateful for in that game. Otherwise, I'm just like, I cannot be bothered fighting this thing and using all my ammo.
I mean, one of the most powerful weapons, if you got the right perks, was the wrench.
Yeah.
You could do so much damage.
Yeah, I've seen people complete the game with the wrench.
Yeah, you started to get ones where you could like freeze enemies and stuff and just smash them apart. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I do think though, like we were saying after the Sander Cohen mission, it definitely dipped off because you started to sort of get like, when you before you go to Andrew Ryan, which isn't a spoiler because it's just obvious that that's going to happen even if you haven't played the game.
Yeah.
And where you have to go and get all the components to make that bomb.
Yeah.
And you do all of that, then you come
Yeah.
face to face with Ryan.
Even the way we're talking about it, we're just like,
yeah,
and
exactly. But it's still a
and
good game. But then after you do that, and you end up, well, I'm not going to say it in case nobody's played it, but after that bit, it just sort of like dips off to the end.
It's really hard to balance horror with weapons.
It just, yeah, it has such a strong start, and it like, again, these are negatives in a really good game, and I think it's just because we like it so much, you can say, okay, this bit ain't great, but we don't mean the game's not.
We've just played it too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and recently, Catherine, obviously, my girlfriend, she loves Bioshock. She didn't like the second one, similar to us, but she couldn't play it. But she watched me play through 1, 2, and 3, and I remember getting to the end of Bioshock Infinite, and we were sat next to each other on a sofa, and she looked at me with her mouth like wide open. She was just so shocked by that ending. She was like, and even now she talks about it, and she's like, nothing cinematically has had me just like, what, like.
Infinite's a completely different thing.
Oh yeah,
Infinite's a wild ride.
Yeah, it's a crazy ride.
That's a brilliant game.
Yeah,
Infinite is so good. I can't. I honestly might just change the difficulty on Bioshock 2 and just do it as easy and just go through it to play Infinite.
I'd skip the one because I remember the other thing I remember about Bioshock 2, like off the top of my head. If I think about it, I remember more. But when I think about it off the top of my head, I just remember getting to certain sections, hearing that scream of the big sister or whatever, and being like, "Oh my god, here we go again!" And it's just a back and forth, just throwing fists with this robot. And then I'm like, right, she's gone. Let's carry on with the game.
They were just more annoyances than anything else.
That was all of Bioshock 2 was just annoyances, and I was just like, everything that, and even though Bioshock 1 was the same, but everything you felt could go wrong in Bioshock 2 just did go wrong. You're just like, oh, here we go. This happens.
It's quite cool in Bioshock 2 that you can like swim though, because like
the underwater bit.
Start, she smashes all the stuff up, and then you see you like go past a shark and stuff. That's pretty cool.
It's just you don't feel like a big daddy. You don't feel powerful.
Your perspective doesn't feel that different from the first one, like because they are quite small, like in terms of height wise, I guess. But you don't feel like they should be, and your camera POV is exactly the same, and you just don't really feel that much different. But if you there were some really good bits to Bioshock 2 though. Again, not like entirely slating it. Like the beginning where it's the New Year's Eve party sort of thing, great start. Then the bit where you're experiencing it through the little girl was great. Is it through a little girl or is it? I'm sure you've experienced it through like a little sister or something. And you can go through the vents and stuff. That's quite good. It's just that game as a whole, if it wasn't in this series, I wouldn't miss it. I
completely agree.
The thing as well that you said about not feeling like as powerful as like a big daddy, I sort of see what you mean, because like, especially when you start off Bioshock 1, it is so hard to kill them, and then it's pretty easy at the start of Bioshock 2 to get killed, and you're meant to be this like absolute animal, and it just doesn't feel like it.
I think most of the time I'd forget I was a big daddy, unless if it wasn't for like the melee / the actual drill.
The drill's annoying though because it runs out of fuel so quickly.
I didn't ever use it. I thought the guns in Bioshock 2 as well were just, I didn't enjoy them. I thought they were I got what they were going for, to be like repair, like tools like a big daddy would use, but I just felt like I just thought as a game I was like, it's more of a DLC in my mind, but just a long one.
It's sort of like how Saints Row 4 is basically just Saints Row the Third's DLC. Just with aliens this time.
Yeah, literally, and that could have easily been done in Saints Row 3. Yeah. That's the craziest thing about how that game goes. I think when they were designing Saints Row 4, they were like, they had such a good idea, and they just, I say it every time, I know you're probably sick of hearing it because we mention it just even this week alone, but they introduced super speed way too quick in that game.
Destroyed the entire balance of the game.
It just, it's like, oh my god, the aliens have these like amazing like hovercraft that I want to use, but it's like, why would I want to use them?
I can fly across
run
the
up
city.
Buildings basically.
There's no point.
Yeah, I don't need to use any vehicle ever again, or use like any guns. I can use my fists if I really wanted to.
Just become a gimmick after the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's it. Because that game starts off strong, where it's like aliens have come and you're the president and stuff. That's quite a fun start, and then it dies off so quick. Before we carry on, I actually think we should hear from Callum, as he thanks the people sponsoring this podcast. We actually have him locked away this week, and he's just sat there waiting for this specific audio cue. So try not to fall asleep listening to him, though, because we will be right back.
Wow, thanks guys for that amazing introduction. Almost as amazing as the top quality merchandise you can find at Apparel 5. Apparel 5 are at the cutting edge of teamwear and apparel design, helping many teams look great. Give them a visit at www.apparel5.com for all your team's merchandising needs. That's www.apparel5.com. This podcast is also sponsored by the Strive Group. The Strive Group utilise education to create effective change and offer a range of training programs, audits, assessments, and consultation services to ensure your organisation is seen as an employer of choice within your sector. The apprenticeship training agency launched as of April 1st, and you can find out more at www.strive2work.uk. And now, well, back to the podcast, I guess. They don't pay me enough for this.
Okay, so I think Callum might be using the Strive group himself to help himself find a new job after that terrible ad reel. But now we're back to the actual podcast and what everyone's here to listen to. So we were discussing obviously the powers in Saints Row 4. And then in that ad break, Frankie actually came up with a game that I completely forgot about.
Oh, yeah. So we were saying obviously about Saints Row and how they use the superpowers in that. But a game that I thought absolutely nailed superpowers, like really, really good, was Prototype.
Yeah, I think Prototype
Yeah,
and
there is.
Prototype. There is a second one, isn't there? Or if I just
Yeah, it's not as good. Prototype 1's
Yeah,
sick. Prototype
Prototype
2's...
1.
Oh, I don't know. I really enjoyed 2.
I think those sorts of games, like I always put Prototype, Crackdown, and like Infamous, the first one and the second one, together. I always think of those games as like they were really trying to do something. They just kind of all wanted to do the same thing at the same time.
One of my favourite games.
Infamous was good.
Infamous is good.
So good.
I actually really like
I didn't.
the third one. I really like
Hated
Infamous
it.
Second Son. I really
Hated
don't
it.
think that got enough. You didn't like it at all. Why?
I hated that. The powers didn't feel like powers. He felt so weak.
No,
They looked really good, but
the game as a whole is probably still one of the
I don't
nicest
know.
games I've ever seen. Like the rain in Seattle is so
it was
nice.
pretty. I'll give it that. It was definitely a next gen game, but
I
they
think
fell flat
that
with the powers.
okay. So before we get into that, because we are going to talk about that, I didn't know you were going to say you hated Second Son because I love it. I think I might be entirely wrong again, and I usually am, but I think the Prototype engine was based on the one used for the Incredible Hulk game, like way back for the original Xbox. I'm sure it was the
Really?
same sort of sandbox engine.
I mean, it makes sense. I haven't heard that.
Because with the super jump and the smashing of stuff, I'm sure, yeah. Because obviously, I don't know if you've played that game. It's a great game.
You couldn't really destroy many things in Prototype. It was only really people and vehicles. That was it.
I think the ragdolling in terms of like vehicles and stuff, because obviously in the
Yeah.
Hulk one you could pick stuff up and throw it, like even including tanks and stuff. Obviously, I might be wrong. I'm sure it was the basis for one of those games. I might have it Prototype mixed up. It might have been Crackdown, but I just remember because I remember hearing that somewhere and I was like, I really love the Incredible Hulk game, and I can see that. I can see where they
Yeah.
were like, okay, we can use the super jump and the movement that Hulk had, because Hulk needs a new game, like not the Avengers game.
No, the Avengers game fell flat. The demo was quite good, but then they just filled it with microtransactions, and it's just the same game. It's just
Before we start arguing about Infamous, Frankie, what are your opinions on Infamous 1, 2, and 3 if you've played any of them?
I have only ever played Infamous 1, and it's pretty good. I never even completed it. I sort of used it as like similar to like what Prototype was, but it was one of those games where I sort of like jumped on, smashed some stuff up, jumped off.
Yeah, then came off. Yeah, I don't remember the story to Prototype.
No, neither do I. Prototype was good for doing that.
I remember bits.
I remember that.
I remember
He had a
bits.
hoodie and a blade
Yeah.
that looked like Prince of Persia's blade. Yeah, I couldn't tell you anything about the Prototype story after just being like, wow, what a game. I remember nothing
No,
about it.
neither can I.
Do I tell you, or is it spoilers?
No, go for it.
Okay, then. Well, from what I remember, he basically worked in the lab where the virus started.
Okay.
I believe he worked there. I don't think he was a thief or anything. But he made the virus. He didn't make it. He caused it to break out of containment.
Okay.
And he was like patient 0 before it started to spread. And he got mutated with the powers. And it also destroyed his memory, so he didn't remember
I remember that.
releasing it.
I remember that.
So he was trying to find out who he was while killing everybody, and then it just Yeah, he went from being a good guy to being the evil genius at the end of it. It was a weird progression.
He has one of the best names in video games, definitely. He definitely has one of the most memorable names in video games that I almost attribute to everything but Prototype. The fact he's called
Alex Mercer.
Alex Mercer is a great name.
It is, isn't it?
That sticks in my head forever, and I'd remember that name before I'd ever remember the name of the game itself. I'd always be like, okay, Alex Mercer is a video game character. I know that for a fact.
Do you remember the guy from the second one?
God, no. Prototype 2.
I think I only remember his last name was Heller.
Heller.
But I don't remember his...
No, I couldn't tell you.
I don't remember his first name.
Nah, Mercer's better. Mercer's way better.
Matt Mercer's a brilliant name, yeah, in comparison.
It is.
But, right, Second Son. So, you didn't think the powers felt like powers. I thought that...
They didn't.
I thought that the video power was no different than Neon, really.
Yeah,
in terms of like aesthetics and stuff. If you're going to do 3 powers...
Video power was almost useless.
Yeah, if you're going to do 3 powers, they all need to look different.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Smoke was really fun.
It was.
I thought it was like, okay, Delson's a bit of a rogue. He's not meant to have these powers, but he does. And they've like, I guess they almost enhanced him rather than just made him like a superhero. They're using the vents and stuff to be mobile, I thought was so fun and interesting. And Smoke was really overpowered if you built it. Like, because you could just, I 100%ed that game.
I didn't.
And I just found it so, yeah, I guess I found the movement quite enjoyable, and the hunting the drones I didn't really ever get bored of, like for the upgrade shard.
I don't know what it was about it. It just sort of felt lackluster compared to the other ones. I expected it to go so much bigger, so much better powers and everything. Like, I enjoyed the concept of his ability. He could just take someone's ability,
Yeah.
But I felt like they could have done so much more with him, so much more.
I like the idea of someone having the same power as somebody else doesn't mean they can do the same things. Like, so Delson couldn't do what Fetch does with the neon power,
Yeah.
but he could still use it to how like suited him the best. And I thought that's quite a neat premise. Like, using the neon to run up walls is quite fun.
I did enjoy the fact that they both, all required their own unique power source.
Mm-hmm.
Like Neon needed neon signs, Smoke needed
Neon
smoke.
was the one that I ended up using the most just because of how easy it was to recharge. It was just everywhere you could recharge Neon. I thought...
And it had the best mobility.
Yeah.
Besides Smoke going up the vents.
Yeah, once you had like the Neon run and then you could do the super jump afterwards, you were kind of unstoppable.
I don't know. I just felt like it didn't...
You weren't Cole, that's for sure.
Yeah, it just didn't sit right with me.
Cole became a bit like Bendak Starkiller from The Force Unleashed with his lightning. he just constantly
He
shooting
was
stuff
so
out.
good. I just enjoyed him as a character. I felt like the world was better in 1 and 2 as well.
Frankie, I think Frankie's just passed out. He's like, I cannot do infamous talk.
I have no idea what's going
He's
on at
just
this
like-
point.
Go on, Frankie. Hit us with a game you want to talk about.
Yeah, go on. What do you want to talk about, Frankie?
Oh, the pressure. Before I was playing Bioshock, I started to replay a bit of
Ooh.
Red Dead.
Red Dead 2 or 1?
Okay.
Red Dead 2.
Okay.
Red Dead 2 seems to come up every week in this podcast, and I'm so glad.
It's just so good, but it's such a good game. Like, there's so much that they can still do with it. I mean, I think what they could do, and if they're not going to do this, they're completely missing a trick, but is a Sadie Adler DLC.
Okay.
That's a brilliant idea. I'm surprised they've not done that.
She's a great character, and she's just absolutely,
boss.
She's just
The boss,
mental.
yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't find the words, but she's probably one of my favourite NPCs in any video game.
That is
She's
such a
so
great
good.
question.
I am going to have to pop in. I did not like Red Dead 2.
Can we just fire him now? Because that's ridiculous.
Why? Why didn't you like Red Dead 2?
Well, I put about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours into it, and it's in the snowy mountains.
So you're still in the mountains.
No, I just got out of them, but it was so tedious, so slow, so
Yeah.
boring. It completely destroyed what I
Yeah.
wanted the game to be.
It's okay. I agree with the mountains. I'd see after I've replayed that game now 3 times.
Ooh.
And once you know kind of where the game goes, you don't even mind the snow. I stay in there and do everything I can until I leave now. Whereas originally I was like, wow, this is slow. It was like The Revenant. It was like nothing is going on. What is this?
I have been told good things about the multiplayer, though. Apparently that's quite
Yeah.
good.
It's all right. It gets better.
I think the multiplayer is really good. I still think Red Dead is probably one of the best games to have been made. It's a game that just keeps on giving. It's so good.
I just go in there and fish. That is all I do.
Oh god, we need a fishing game. We need something to just fish.
We can talk about fishing, yeah. I honestly, I go on there with me, Catherine, and some friends, and they go do trading stuff. And then as soon as I see a free roam event of like the fishing competition, I'm instantly dropping us all in it.
There's competitions.
Yeah, free roam events, a bit like GTA 5, but like they everyone in lobbies that accept it, they all get put into this one little zone, and they do the competition for 10 minutes, and then it'll send you back to your server. But you get rewards for winning. It's quite good. GTA does it, doesn't it, with races and stuff, or like the Bigfoot one where someone becomes Bigfoot if you accept it. Yeah, it's just the same way. You just get an invite off like the server.
Do you not think that GTA is at its day now? It's been like I was saying this earlier because me and Ben were playing Dead by Daylight for a little like I don't know montage of stuff that we're gonna put up, and we were talking as well about GTA 5, and it's just been so long, and you know PS3 had what 3 or 4 GTA games. GTA 5's now had 3 consoles. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
It's kind of ridiculous.
PS3 did not have 4 GTA games.
But I can understand.
It did. PS3 did.
In like the span of like 4 or 5 years, there was like 3 or 4 GTA games.
There was 3. There was GTA 4, there was episodes, and there was... And episodes doesn't count because that's DLC. And then there was GTA 5.
Didn't they remaster Vice City?
That doesn't count as a new one.
They also had... Oh no, episodes was the one with like the Lost and Damned, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that is right. But... no, but you see what I mean?
Like, I get what you mean, but I also think I trust like Rockstar. I think Rockstar have done so well that to earn the benefit of the doubt, they never let anyone down in terms of like GTA 5 after a long wait was worth the wait, and obviously this one is a longer wait, so they know they have to make it even more worth it. But
you say a longer wait, but it's been out since 2013. Yeah. It's almost an 8-year-old game.
Is that the point now where the wait has been that long that everyone's starting to just disregard
I hear this. And then I talk to people. And I talk to people who've bought GTA 5, say, this year, and they've still not played the story, but they're complaining that GTA 6 should be out. I'm like, you've got a whole game there, though. You've got a whole game.
Yeah, but they've already played it.
But they've not. They haven't. They've just got a multiplayer.
Well, yeah, but they've probably completed it.
And they haven't played the story. Obviously, I know you have, and I think they're very silly to have not done an expansion in terms of single player if they're going to wait this long for GTA 6. I'll agree there. There should have been a stories for GTA 5 or something. That's all they needed to do to kind of help the wait.
I think they spent too much time on Red Dead 2.
It's not a PS4.
It was.
I think that's what slowed down production.
But I think if you played Red Dead 2, you'd say it was worth it. Whereas Frankie, you don't like Red Dead 2, so I can understand your point. Frankie loves Red Dead 2, and he still doesn't think that. Red Dead 2 was definitely worth them focusing on if it's halted GTA 6.
I'd rather have Red Dead 2 and wait another, say, 2 or 3 years for GTA 6. 100%. It's an amazing game. Yeah. I feel like as well, like Rockstar are actually, like we've just slated them a little bit there, but they are a really good company in the sense, like, they, as much as it's still like a free roam game, you got Red Dead and GTA. They are very different games. Like I would jump on Red Dead when I wasn't doing anything, and I was like able to go on my console, and I'd be like, oh, I wonder what's coming up next in the story, and I'd play the missions. Whereas GTA is more of a game where realistically you can complete the game, but a lot of people just do the first mission to save it and go around blowing people's heads off and using cheats. And you wouldn't do that in Red Dead.
I don't know what you're talking about GTA Vice City. GTA 5 story mode is so good.
No, I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying that
I don't remember ever I think GTA 5 was one of the first GTAs I never free roamed on until after I completed the story.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't free roam at all. I was like, okay, unless I was like Michael and I was playing tennis. Again, it's similar to fishing for me. I was never like, I'm going to upgrade my car. I was like, I'll complete the story and then I'll have my life. Then I'll go do my stock.
Your views on like free roam 18 rated games is so warped. Like you're on there fishing on Red Dead and playing tennis on GTA 5, where people are on there like,
because I can be. That's why I do it, because I can be. I wanted to just kill everyone. I'd play gun, or I'd play COD. I'd play. Yeah, gun is a great. You like that.
Gun is a throwback.
You like that callback, boy? I thought you would. Exactly. If I wanted to do that, I'd play gun, because that's all you could do in those games. A game that allows me to fish, I'm gonna fish because they put there.
Will you go fishing in real life?
No, no way.
Yeah, but you can't really use that. Would you go around shooting people in real life?
That's way too boring. Fishing in real life is way too boring.
I mean, if you want to just play a game where you can fish, play
It's installed. Whatever you're about to say, it's installed.
Is it? I can't believe I forgot the name of it.
There's some fishing simulators.
I have Russian Fishing 4 installed.
Fishing Planet.
I have that installed as well.
Oh my god.
But the thing about Red Dead is like, GTA 5. When I played it, I was like, growing up, GTA stories were always a bit above my head because obviously I'm a bit young. But for San Andreas, obviously I played them all now. GTA 5 made me want to go back and play the older one's story all the way through. Like I'd never finished San Andreas, and now I have. I finished Vice City, finished GTA 4, but that's probably one of my least favorite.
I haven't played GTA 4
ever.
It's actually really good.
I've seen it. I've seen a friend play it and talk about it, but I've only played San Andreas, Vice City, and 5.
San Andreas and Vice City, like I never played the story on. I got in, like you said, Frankie, I got a safe house, got to save, and then I drove around.
That is originally what GTA was about, though.
Well, yeah, I guess it was what the first two were about in terms of they were top-down games. They were like Hotline Miami.
Do you know what I find crazy, right? How like people would play games like San Andreas and Vice City, and they would just do the first mission, save it, and then just go on like a rampage. Where and you have to play the missions to unlock the rest of the map. But the first game in GTA that people actually completed was GTA 5, where the whole map's unlocked. You just got to discover it.
Yeah. GTA San Andreas and stuff. If you left the zone, you'd get wanted level. But once you had flying cars enabled, that wouldn't stop you.
Yeah, that was
Flying cars was one of the best cheats.
Or the jetpack.
Oh, yeah, I hated the jetpack. It was some of the dodgiest controls
It
ever.
was. It really was.
To be honest, I still have that issue with Rockstar. Their control scheme annoys me because they just refuse to change it from like PS2. Like
I don't know.
having square as jump is the worst.
I hate that.
Square as jump is because like I noticed it most on Red Dead 2. I think that was the most frustrating part of Red Dead 2. And it's whenever I come back to it, it annoys me. Because you're not driving cars or using machine guns, you all of a sudden notice how like clunky the controls are. And they're like, I don't always hate it because I'm like, it adds a bit more to it. But I think Frankie's just been interrupted there.
Oh, I don't know who that was. I think actually somebody might have come home. It might be my girlfriend coming home.
But yeah, I just think when you play Red Dead 2 and you're trying to loot bodies and you're trying to stand over stuff and you take that extra step more than you should and you end up like falling a bit off a ledge, I think it almost feels like you have input lag on your controller because it's catching up with the stuff you're trying to do.
The Witcher 3 has that problem though, especially with looting. It's almost impossible to loot a body.
Oh, my bad take on Witcher 3. I don't like The Witcher 3.
I don't like The Witcher 3.
I cannot get into that. You talk about Red Dead 2 has a slow beginning. The Witcher 3 times that by 1,000,000.
Yeah, it's...
The Witcher 3 is like, hey, it's kind of the opposite. It's like, you do one mission, it's like, here you go. Here's the entire everything that you can do. And it's like, oh my God.
But there's too many things to do. That's the problem.
You're like, and obviously that's such a bad complaint because some people will be the opposite and be like, yeah, but how amazing is it you can do all those things? I'm like, it is amazing.
Okay,
nobody actually is doing all those things.
And explain to me why the armors look like pajamas. They are the worst armors in the game.
I couldn't believe I was playing the third game in a series and I felt like a level 1 character still.
I know.
Having the same character.
You just run around wearing jumpers.
Having the same character then be like level 1 and have to be upgraded again. It's like, you can't do that. You can't be like this guy's a renowned hunter and then getting about in guard nightwear.
Just about kill a rat.
It just takes me out.
You are the first people that I've heard slate Witcher 3. I've never played it personally, but I like live with people at uni who love it.
Yeah, they talk about it like it's the greatest game of all time.
It's
and
not.
I look at the Game Awards when that was winning everything. I don't know what it was competing against because I don't see it. I think it's an incredible world. I think it's really pretty, and I think if you're into fantasy, it definitely gets you into it. But I just couldn't care less. I was playing it and I was like, I do not care.
I'd probably change my mind if I played through it now, but back then it was a buggy mess.
I played through it recently. I got the PS4 version because it's always on sale. That's the one good thing about The Witcher. It's always on sale.
It always.
And I was like, wow, this is cool. Wow, this is cool. And then I came off it for maybe 2 days. You know, when you play a game that's like an open world game, you're like, oh, I can't really remember exactly where I was at. Let's restart.
Yeah.
I had that after one session of The Witcher 3. And I was like, okay, no, I'm done. I can't do this. I can't pretend that this is the Citizen Kane of games that everyone pretends it is. And I think CD Projekt Red were probably feeling like that with Cyberpunk. They were like, God, we wish The Witcher 3 wasn't so good because now everyone's expecting this of us.
I mean, they did hype it up for like 7 years, and then the fans hyped it up beyond belief. It was never going to meet expectations. It was just going to be a good game.
Good game isn't good enough anymore, is it?
No.
It's just not. People expect so much.
To be fair, I did play it on the PS4 version, and while it was a buggy miss, so I'm not going to... It was horrendous to play sometimes. I never really got over 30 frames, or floors kept disappearing, things would fly across the screen. It was... Some of them were game breaking, but I still enjoyed it. I still put about 50 hours into it, so it's a good game.
That's fair. You got your money's worth then.
Well, I got it for free because me and my friends share PlayStation profiles, so...
Oh, you did get your money's worth then, definitely.
Yeah, I got it for free, so...
What you were saying there about like it can't just be a good game, I think there's been like a benchmark have been set now. Like if I like again, we're going back to sort of like Red Dead. If I play on Red Dead for a bit and then I jump onto GTA, I will always then just go, oh, you know what, I'm going to go back and play Red Dead again because not just the gameplay that I think is better in Red Dead, the graphics are unbelievable. And it's the same when after I completed Last of Us. After I completed that, it was just so well done. The graphics on it were amazing. It's sort of like, for a while, no other game would do.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm so interested in doing this Republic Commando thing. But like looking at it from the eyes of not nostalgia, but looking at it as an £11 game that's come out in 2021 that they're trying to sell. If I'd never played Republic Commando before, like, would I be like, yeah, this was worth it? And at the minute, £11 is a great price point for it, to be honest, because it's I know it's not a PS5 port, but I can buy it for the PS5 for £11, and that's great to have a game on the PS5 for £11 when most games now are 70. I definitely think
a game definitely doesn't have to look good to be good.
No, definitely not.
No, I think it helps.
It does.
Like
it helps if that's what they're going for, but I think art style and graphics are so different and subjective. Like you can have an amazing art style but not be realistic graphics. Whereas if you're going for realistic graphic, you have to nail it on the head.
You do.
Because it doesn't age very well. If you go for realism, it doesn't age very well. Whereas if you go for cell shading or like Okami is one of the amazing games I've ever played art style wise because it's just timeless. It's like paper cell shaded and I love it.
I mean,
one of the games that's made the most money is Minecraft and the graphics on there are just terrible.
They are.
Because Minecraft is just Lego. It's just Lego with a survival aspect and it's genius.
It is.
And if it's accessible to everyone because...
Absolutely everyone.
If you look at... I played the Master Chief Collection and if you play any of those like remasters, you play Halo 2 and then because you can constantly switch back to the original graphics and stuff. And I was playing it with Catherine and we played Halo 2 and she was like, my eyes physically cannot play the original. Like because she only started playing games like more recently in terms of the past few years. Like she's used to like that benchmark of graphics, whereas I can go play a PS1 game and think, okay, I know what's going on here.
Yeah, you can go back play the old Lara Croft and it's fine.
Yeah. Whereas if she did that, she'd be like, my eyes can't do it. I'm not attuned to it. So she's like, we cannot play Halo. Halo 2 with its original graphics, even though I think they're clear as day. I see things, I think the colours, because they're a bit less graphical, like the brightness and stuff is better. Like, because it's just lighter when it should be dark, but I can see things better. And I think, it's not that bad. I can't believe you can't cope with it. She's like, no, we have to play on the good graphics, even though it's the exact same gameplay. That's crazy to me, because she would not have thought Halo 2 was a good game if she played it, like, this year with the original graphics. And that upsets me.
Okay, then. Going off of that, what do you think is the most important aspect of a game?
Movement.
The graphics, the sound, the gameplay, the level design.
To be honest, I said movement, but I'm thinking more like competitive games there. I think, though, whatever the developers are trying to make their staple is the most important. I think it is obviously subjective to what sort of games you play.
Yeah.
But I think if a developer is trying to do something and they try and do it well and they do it wrong, that comes across more than if they do it better than other companies, but the other companies weren't trying.
Yeah.
I think it is tough. I think I enjoy the most either a good soundtrack or I think art style or movement are the most. I said movement straight away, so I'll stick with movement. I think being able to move around comfortably and understand, yes, like if I'm playing an action game and I do a dodge and I think that should have dodged, then I need that to be the case. If I die because I think the movement isn't how they think it is, like the developers, and I think a hitbox is too big, I will get really wound up.
What do you think, Frankie?
I sort of agree with what Anthony said in terms of like it's subjective to what game you're playing, but I think if I'm sort of trying to generalize here, For me, it's got to be the story.
Okay.
I just love a story game, and I want the story to be all like, so almost like you're not playing a game in a sense. You're
Yeah.
like, what? It's like an interactive film. I love that about some games. Again, movement's important because there's been times I've been massively frustrated playing a game. But no, story for me, it's got to be story.
If I had to go for one, probably player feedback, and not in the sense of like a survey or something. I mean, when you do something in a game, it gives you a determined result that you can understand.
Yes.
So like when you were saying dodging, you should expect it to dodge. You should understand how the game works, how it responds to the game, just how things you do in a game should play out. If it has bad feedback for something like Bloodborne or Dark Souls, if you had really bad feedback, nothing's going to get done. You're going to get hit every time. You're going to die, and it's just going to be terrible.
No, I don't think I could agree really more. If a game tells you something, then you're following the rules of that game. When you do something, you should know whether it's your fault that you've messed up. It should never then be like, oh, that's the game's fault, because then you think, okay, well, I don't know the rules of how this works. I think player feedback is so, especially in newer games when, like you said, your example is you love Bloodborne. If Souls-like games had bad feedback, they would not be popular. And some of them do. Like, I think that's why Demon Souls was a bit hit and miss for a lot of people. I think they hadn't perfected what they were going for, like the original one.
Yeah, it's why a lot of competitive games just fall flat.
Yeah.
They just don't have the response that people want it to have.
Yeah.
They try, but it just doesn't work.
And I think that's almost why CSGO has it. Like, games like CSGO have an advantage when they don't do aim down sights.
Yeah.
And they're just like, you have bullet spray. This is how this gun bullet sprays. Aiming down sights isn't going to change that. You've just got to know how to shoot this gun.
It's crazy though, because everything that we've just mentioned is everything that FIFA is shocking at, but it still sells, and people still buy into it, and people still spend so much money on Ultimate Team and stuff like that. But it is genuinely, hand on heart, the worst game I have ever played. I deleted it from my PlayStation the other day, and I hadn't played it since like December. It is horrendous.
I'm so glad you managed to get FIFA.
I know, I can't believe it. I played the beta for FIFA 21, the closed beta, and then I was like, okay, I'm not buying this. So and then I did buy it because I'm an idiot. And then I got a PlayStation 5 with no disc drive, so it's just rotting.
It's a terrible game. They get away with so much, and it makes me angry. I can feel myself going red.
It's just a pure money grab.
It is horrendous.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing that makes me mad, and I'm sure we spoke about it only with Ty and Tom, but the fact that the Legacy Edition on the Switch is no different, and it self-professes that it's no different from the year prior besides the squad updates.
Is that it?
It literally says on it, it's the same game, like, as... I will get a quote. Continue ranting, Frankie, while I get this quote from FIFA, because it's so...
it's still full price.
It's such a bad game.
Of course
they get away with... They get away with so much, and they just money grab, and they just take people's money, and then you get nothing in return, and then because you got nothing in return, you spend more money to get nothing back. And
okay, here you go. Are you ready for this?
Go on.
This is on the Nintendo website. This isn't like an article or anyone with using words. This is the official wording of it. It's on sale at the minute, but it's usually $50. Gameplay. FIFA 21 Legacy Edition will feature the same gameplay innovation from FIFA 20 without any new development or significant enhancements.
Wow.
How can you
I don't even know what
just
to say.
reselling the same game over and over again.
That's so bad. It's just I hate it so much. And also,
it's just EA.
I see people that will play it and they'll like smash up controllers, be booting chairs over, and it's just like, why do you care? It's a terrible game. Take the disc out and snap it. It is shocking. And don't buy another one every year.
I was going to say, taking the game out and snapping it doesn't stop the EA, does it? They've already bought it if they've got the disc.
I know, but like the thing is as well, like everybody knows that FIFA can get away, EA can get away with all of this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But the thing is, all I hear is people complain, and then all I see is those same people who have complained buy the next game. I can hand on heart say, as soon as I bought it, the first week of playing FIFA 21, I was like, this game is shocking. I'm not going to get FIFA 22. And I can hand on heart say that I will not. It is dreadful.
Mm-hmm. And it's always interesting though, because I thought 2K were going to give EA a bit of a run for the money with sports games, especially after they obviously do the basketball, and then they did they got hold of WWE.
Oh, yes.
But 2K can't fix WWE either. So I don't know if sports games are just unsavable. Because I know Madden has a lot of hate.
Madden has a lot of hate.
The WWE games were just terrible. I remember I've played them so much, and they're funny, but a game shouldn't be funny.
No.
It should be good. And like the thing is, it's so OP. You do like a match where you can like hit someone with a chair. That's them done. I remember I used to babysit this kid, and he used to have the WWE games, and I'd play it, and all I'd do is get out, grab a chair, smack him, and every time he tried to get up, smack him until the chair broke. Went and got another one and did it loads of times until I could pin him, and I won every
Because
time.
people used to just give them the benefit of the doubt that it was THQ, and obviously THQ were going under, and they just weren't great at all at anything. And then 2K have done it, and 2K have only made them worse. Like in terms of buggy messes, it's like, how can you not do? The only games that I think, like sports games, that I've had a good review of recently is Formula 1 2020. It's on sale. It's really good. I'm enjoying it. And also, I think I don't ever hear, but they might do. I'm just not in that scene. But the UFC games, I don't ever hear them get hated.
No, they're really good. I haven't got the most recent one, but I got the one before, and they're really good.
But I also think that's because of UFC as a brand wouldn't let a bad game, necessarily. I don't think they'd be like, because obviously they'd be like, we don't want bad rep, we don't want a lot, but we want people to get into this. And UFC is getting bigger and bigger every year.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think football cares.
Well, no, it's already got a ridiculous fan base, and then the thing is with the UFC games that everything about it is it's been worked on. The mechanics are really good. The only complaint, like I said, I haven't got the most recent one. I got the one before, but the only complaint I have about that is McGregor's the face of it, and he's just OP. You use him, you're gonna win, but he's not even the best fighter there. He's not the best pound for pound in the world. But I'm not gonna get into that because it isn't gaming. But
no, I get what you mean. It's tough and
if I had to say the best sports game that they do really well is probably PGA Tours. For real sport games, they're just not bad.
But the past two haven't been great.
I haven't played just from 3 years.
As someone who will self-admittedly put PGA Tour 2005, like Tiger Woods 2005, in his top 10 games of all time, and I haven't played many golf games. I've played a lot, but like recently.
Golf it's
and I know, golf it's the best sports game I've played. The fact Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2005 has such a lasting effect on me because of just how cathartic it was to go on St Andrews and just play. So all a golf game had to be a bit arcadey. You don't always need the realism. Like you just don't. I know this year's golf didn't get a great response. I think it was just they felt the career was a bit blander than usual. Whereas the opposite side was Formula 1 has a team mode, which is quite fun. I've been playing that a lot because I had them both in my basket and I went on just to see what people were saying about each one. And PGA Tour this year, because I saw Twitch streamers picking up 2K21, is it? The latest one. Yeah, I saw Twitch streamers picking up 2K21, like people who I've never seen play a golf game. I was like, oh, okay, it must be really good. And I'm thinking it was just a slow month of game releases.
I think if they really want to make things like NBA or FIFA better, they need to make it like what Tony Hawk's Pro Skater became. Not so much as super realistic. It's just more. It's fun.
Well, they if they're gonna do that, it's a both. Game. They should do both. You can have both modes. Where like Total War did it. I know it's a completely different genre, but Total War had a romance mode and a records mode. They had a records for like historical accuracy, and then a romance for more fictionalization. Or they release FIFA need to do. Stop with the Volta stuff, Frankie. I'm sure you'll agree. Nobody plays Volta.
Stop with the whole thing.
Get FIFA Street back.
FIFA Street's sick.
Is that game. This is a game of nostalgia. When you think, okay, that game was good, and then you think, no, it was good for its time. So I played FIFA Street 2, so it wasn't the latest one, but I played FIFA Street 2 only 6 months ago. And I played against a friend of mine at uni. And all you had to do was flick down on the right thumbstick and it would instantly like nutmeg your opposition. And I just realized that is so stupid. Like what a stupid like mechanic in a game that you can just flick one button and you instantly get past the defender.
You said about modes as well, like having the sort of like the non-realistic modes. But FIFA have tried that. They did like King of the Hill. They did Mystery Ball.
Oh, people don't play them yet. It's true. I completely forgot.
Yeah, but they were all terrible except Mystery Ball when you're playing against a mate just because it's funny. But then like after you finish it, you just think that was stupid.
Playing that or like House Rules where you can foul is always good for like 2 games and then you get bored.
Yeah. I mean, imagine playing something like NBA, like Looney Tunes, like Space Jam.
That just needs to be a game. A Space Jam game would be
That'd
amazing.
be so much fun.
Oh, don't. That sounds amazing.
It really would.
Yeah, that's what I think. You know what? I don't think that's down to 2K or FIFA. I think other companies, I know they can't get licensing, so they
Yeah.
need to be a bit more creative. But they need to start doing stuff like that. Like Mario Hoops 3-on-3 was one of the best basketballs I've ever played because it was just Mario playing basketball.
The best football game I've ever played was the
that
Mario one on the
Strikers?
GameCube. It was unbelievable. Oh, I can't remember the name of it. I just remember
Strikers.
playing on my mate's GameCube and having like the best time of my life.
If FIFA and that are gonna get so complaints for not being a fun football game, you're gonna have to try and come and take away. Okay, if we don't have the license, what can we do to make this good?
People need to stop buying it then, because
No,
everybody has the same complaints. Everybody who listens to this podcast, no one buy it.
Yeah, okay.
They won't. People will not stop buying FIFA.
People who don't play video games buy FIFA though. Football fans buy FIFA even if they don't like games. That's the issue. They're like, okay, I want to play as United this week, or obviously they want to play as United because they just enjoy seeing their team do better than they're doing in real life.
But it's also like, because you see your mates buy it, it's a social thing as well.
Yeah.
Like, admittedly, I'm not a massive football fan at all. I don't really like football, but well, I'm more rugby, aren't I? But yeah, I don't really like football. But I still bought it in the past because I know that my mates have, and I know it's a way to sort of like wind. Well, I attempt to wind down and then end up getting.
Yeah, you get wound up
and go to bed in a state. But yeah,
no, they are. It is a wind-up game. Who do the rugby games? It's not.
It's Madden.
It's all changed.
Is it Big Ben?
It was
Big Ben. What?
honestly,
They're not called
it's
Big
changed.
Ben Interactive. Is that not who does?
I don't know what they are.
don't know.
Some Canadian company did it once. You know what? I'm going to talk about this really quick.
Yeah.
So
They're not
the
great.
thing is, rugby is trying to expand as a sport, right? EA have done some rugby games. They did Rugby 08, and I think they did Rugby World Cup 2011. They were amazing games. And there's just no sort of like idea that's been pushed forward ever, really, to make another one. But if you're trying to expand the sport, people will buy it. And like the reason that people they'll see like a rugby game, they'll put it in their console, be like, oh, well, that game was terrible because of the mechanics and because of how it's made. And then they'll be like, well, I'm not going to bother with rugby. But if you want the sport to expand, get yourself a good EA game.
Having a video game is so helpful because it helps you learn the rules through doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like learning F1, learning golf, learning hockey. Hockey's a good one. You learn the ice hockey rules. Rugby, obviously, Madden. Playing it teaches you the rules on the fly because you know what you can and cannot do rather than having to wait for it to happen in a match for the ref or something to say that's not allowed.
But at the same time, we don't need a new game every year.
Well, no, you think, don't you? You think squad updates can be done. They just choose not
Could
to.
you do kit updates though?
Yeah, that's true. And sponsorships. That's the issue. I don't think they can help that very much.
Because a lot of the times with sponsorships as well, like if a team has changed their kit sponsorships, they have to then put that in the game, don't they?
Because the designers could easily add a new kit to the game, put it over the top of what's already there. They could do that. That's not hard. I think it's
Just be a
more
quick
what
patch.
legality. Yeah, I don't know what legality in terms of what the actual licenses, because the licenses might only be for that year and they might have to renew them as a separate ideal for the following year.
I don't know.
See, that's it. I don't know the legal reasons because obviously you'd be like, why is this a yearly release?
Because they want money. It's EA.
Yeah, that's why. But then you also think other companies also do it. It's not just like Pez do it and stuff. I know that's Konami.
I'm pretty sure like 90% of the sports games are EA.
Yeah, they are. The thing is with EA, right? I've had a massive go about how they're like money grabbers from like 14-year-old kids about FIFA, but I can guarantee you right now, if they came out with a rugby game, they could have my savings. I would open an overdraft.
Yeah. Well, it's because they're not just. They're also like a publisher.
They are.
And some of their subsidiaries like Respawn, who did Fallen Order. You've got to remember that's
I thought
technically EA
Respawn
game.
was completely separate. I didn't think they still came under EA.
No, I think that's still EA. They're still a subsidiary. I'm 95% sure. Obviously, DICE still EA.
Yeah, it is.
In the terms of they're still,
But they're...
BioWare. Obviously, BioWare have dropped off a lot, but you think about Codemasters.
Yeah, BioWare
who did
had to
Formula 1.
drop.
Criterion, who did Burnout.
I mean, BioWare had to drop Anthem. They're no longer doing live service.
Yeah.
They've completely...
I'd love a Burnout 3 remaster. That's a game I want. Burnout Takedown was a great game.
Takedown was my favourite.
It was just such a... That's similar to lack of realism. None of that Forza nonsense or Gran Turismo where you're going for realistic. That is an arcade racer where you can just have so much fun on Burnout Takedown. It's in a fake world, in a fake city, and you just get to kind of do on Crash FM, the radio. Just bring all that back. Bring the whole game back as it was. I don't care. Oh, Burnout Takedown was such a fun game.
Uh,
You ever play Burnout, Frankie? Or are you just still thinking about the day you get a good rugby game?
That and how angry I am at FIFA, but I've heard of Burnout. I can't remember if I've played it, to be honest with you. Hang on, I must have done. The name's too familiar for me to have not played it.
I think I was always a kid that preferred Burnout over Need for Speed.
yeah, 100%.
I was always for Burnout. I just thought,
It was either Burnout or Gran Turismo.
yeah, Need for Speed was for the cool kids.
It was.
So I was like, okay, I'll go play Burnout 3.
I think I only played Underground.
Yeah,
It's the only Need for Speed I played.
I think Need for Speed did well because of the whole aesthetic of Underground and stuff was very similar to it. Fast and Furious. Yeah, like Tokyo Drift and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think they just kind of worked well together. I think they hit the nail on the head because they made a Need for Speed film, didn't they? It wasn't Mark Wahlberg in it.
Have you played the Fast and Furious game?
I've seen enough of it to know.
I
don't
didn't
want to
even know
do
that was a thing.
You don't want
Possibly the worst game ever made. It was absolutely
It's
horrendous.
amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Oh my god. I can't believe that managed to get through a publisher.
I know. It wasn't Mark Wahlberg.
When did that come out?
Like last year?
I feel really bad. I said Mark Wahlberg was in the Need for Speed film. I just checked. It was not Mark Wahlberg. It was Aaron Paul. Oh, I feel really stupid. It should have been Mark Wahlberg. I'd have watched it then. I think we're gonna call it an end for this week's episode, unless we've got anything else to talk about.
I don't think so.
I think we could go forever talking about EA.
Oh,
That's the
we
issue,
could
isn't
do.
it?
Yeah, we could.
But please let us know what sports games, whether you want a GTA 6 is the first thing, or what EA should do to fix FIFA. But otherwise, please tune in for next week's episode. And thank you two for joining me this week on the AGT podcast.
Not a problem.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely.
Thank you.
I'll have you both back, definitely. Maybe not you, Frankie.
And thank you everyone for listening.
Yeah, also, play Bioshock, don't buy FIFA.
Yeah, that's a good end. So thanks, guys.
That's a very good end.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.